Great. Let's see if that's working. Heard myself for some reason. Okay. Right. Okay. So we got a little bit of a lag. All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first stream of Biostats. So that's Bio 118 slash we're gonna get all the bugs out because I'm not that used to streaming on this platform. And let's see if we can get working. So before I do anything else, I see full screen this other screen. I see that none of you are watching. If you are logged in and could just say hello on the chat, I'd really appreciate it. Right. Excellent. All right, it's coming in. All right. So, all right, I'm gonna take some attendance. This won't be the only way I'm taking it, but I want to make sure I know who's here. Wow. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Um, this is already 1,000 times better than Zoom. Okay. Great. 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 All right. How is the video and sound? I'm monitoring my own audio. Hopefully, you're not hearing me twice. If you are, please tell me. But can you hear me? Can you see me? Is it all working out okay? I'm watching myself on this, and I'm way behind. So I'm gonna try to fix that for next time. We don't need that much of a lag. I feel like I'm not gonna say anything I regret in like the 30 seconds that this is gonna run. So make it a little bit better. But do bear with me because there is a bit of a lag for this stream. Okay. So hopefully you all had a chance to read my email. I send 2 copies of it, and I also put a bunch of stuff on Brightspace to sort of get you started on what we need to do and what you need to do. The first couple of weeks of the class is going to be mostly conceptual stuff. We're actually not going to really delve into statistical tests. We're not going to need to worry about coding. It's all about reading the first couple chapters of the textbook and sort of thinking about statistics, thinking about data, things like that. And then we start to really get our hands dirty working through things like summary statistics, graphing, and stuff like that. So I appreciate the folks who have already logged into the Jupyter Hub instance, and I did do a little bit of finagling with that. It was, of course, a problem on my side, but we're all set to go. So I appreciate those of you who have bear with me through that, and you should have access to that server, so you can play around with it if you'd like for the next couple of weeks. Okay, so If I have to change the way the setup is, it's 1,000 degrees in here. So what I want you to do is log into the Brightspace page. The reason why, and of course, sorry, I'm going to introduce myself, though I think almost all of you know who I am, but I do think we have a couple of new students, a couple of new postbacks. My name is Dr. Lundquist. I am the chair of the bio department, or I guess the natural sciences department here at Marymount. My office is in Carson Hall, 603. This, where I'm streaming right now, is my lab in Carson 601. If you can't find me in 603, you can find me in 601 if I'm in the building at all. If I'm not in the building, you're never going to find me. I teach biostats, of course, but I also teach intro bio. I teach conservation biology and environmental science sometimes, and the New York City seminar, which some of you have been a part of in the last couple of years. So that's me. This class, it's a cross-listed class, bio 218 and math 218, so they both fulfill a math requirement for those of you who are in the applied math minor, and is a required class for all of our natural science majors, so the biology, biomed, E&B, etc. These are all courses that we want you to take, or this is a course we want you to take. So let's go over the course. Let's go through a few items. I don't expect to be the stream to be the entire time, and we'll talk about what the format of this course is going to be, because it's going to be a little bit different than courses that you may have had online in the past. The fact we're on YouTube aside. So what I'd like you to do is log into the Brightspace page. One of the main reasons why I'm using YouTube, minus the fact that I want to practice using technology, is that I can't steal your screen. I can't full screen anything. I can't take you away from your work. This course is basically you working through problems and me being around to show you how to do it and to help you out. This course won't work if you just sit there doing nothing. And it also doesn't work if you just sit there listening to me prattle on and on and on and on. So what I would like you to do is have this stream open, either if you have two screens, which is really cool if a one screen and whatever, but I assume none of you have that. Instead, what you can do is open the stream in a separate tab and have me going, listen to what I'm saying, flip back and forth, but don't think that you have to constantly be paying attention to the stream. I want you to, look at the textbook, work through problems. I want you to be able to do that. And you can also, if you have a big enough screen, though if you're working on like an iPad or a MacBook Air, it might not be the most conducive. But you can just go side by side and work through problems in one tab and listen to me prattle on in the other. So that's the main reason why I want you to do this, why we're doing this for YouTube, and what my expectations are for you actually paying attention during class. I don't require you to have your videos on or have mics or anything. I like that if you're logged in, you're using the chat. I will monitor the chat as consistently as I can. I'll get better at it as we continue on through the course. But if you have questions or comments or things to add or anything you want to say, put it in the chat. And I'll look for it and I'll react to it and provide any feedback or answers, things like that. There's a little bit of a lag, of course, so it might take me a little bit to get to your question, but I'll do my best to do it. Also, this should be recording. So I will have this stream up at least, I think it takes about 24 hours. I'll have it up on up on YouTube, so you can watch it again if you want to, or if you missed a session, you can watch it on your own time. Okay. So when you open the Brightspace page, zoom in a little bit as well. I would suggest also putting this in full screen. You're not going to be doing much else, or at least as large a screen as possible, what they call it, theater mode. That might be better to be able to see things a little bit better. But okay, none of those worked. Okay, oh, this one. Okay, so zoom in a bit. So biostats, the core shell is the one with the stream here. You don't, you shouldn't have anything else that says biostats in your screen. There were other sections, but I had them merged together. So it should be good to go. And then I have three pieces of content here. And this isn't the only place you can find it, but it is the main place to find it. And they're all in the order of what I think is most important for this first week or so. We have the syllabus, which I'll go over really quickly. I want you all to read through it on your own and make sure you understand where we're going this semester. A quick start guide, how to sort of do the 4 or 5 kind of annoying steps, a little bit complicated steps to actually have access to all the content, and then a link to our textbook, which is free, of course. I wrote it, and therefore it should be pretty good. It might have some typos. If you find some typos in my textbook, please let me know so I can fix them. But there's a reason why I have sort of a special format for the textbook, and I'll talk about that a little bit today as well. Okay, so the first link is the syllabus. I just pasted it, so there's no file to download. You can just read it. Get rid of my face here. Okay. So the class technically meets Tuesdays and Thursdays, 4 to 5:21 p.m. And the sessions will always be streamed on YouTube. The only other information you really need here is that my office is Carson 603. I'm typically on campus Monday through Thursday. So if you need to find me, if you want to schedule an office hour, which are by appointment, the reason why I'm doing that is that some of you might want to meet remotely, and some of you might want to meet in person. And so I don't want to set specific remote or specific in-person times. Just send me an email and we'll figure out a time to meet. And of course, if we're going to be meeting for office hours remotely, I'm going to use Zoom, because I do need to be able to talk to you directly and interact with you directly. But in a class of 15, it's a little bit more conducive for you just to sort of work on your own. There's only a handful of required materials. I'm not requiring you to buy anything. Hopefully you already own a computer. You're all on the stream, so you're either on your phones or on your laptops or your tablets. All those things work. I think computers are better, or at least something with a screen and a keyboard is better, but you technically can succeed in this class on a cell phone, smartphone, not a flip phone. I made sure that all the content is accessible from any type of technology that has a screen and internet connection and some sort of input device, that keyboard or touchscreen, so that you don't need to have something special and you don't need to worry about if your computer is fast enough or new enough or anything like that. You need to have a Google account if you're going to be part of the chat. Looks like most of you have done that. This is awesome. And are also using your real names, which is awesome because then I can tell who you are. A GitHub account, which I'll show you in a minute. And that one is the only reason why you need that is that the server that I have for our Python, which is the program that we're going to be using for doing statistics, requires a login, and this is the most secure way. I don't know what your password is. I don't know anything except for, actually don't even know your username. You need to tell me your username. And it just adds a level of security. So that's the reason why you need it. You don't need to do anything on GitHub. You don't need, you don't need an account to get the content. Everything is open and free. So the only reason why you need it is because that's the way we're authenticating users for the website for the actual course, and that's python.griffystats.com. And that link is clickable, and I'll show you that in a minute. And then again, I said you just need a working computer of some sort, and I have tested Windows, OS, Mac OS, Linux, Chrome OS, Pad OS, iOS, and Android, and it all works. So if you have a decent enough screen and a decent keyboard, and probably a mouse, you're good to go. There are 2 optional textbooks if you want to either buy a textbook, or if you have access to one, a friend that took this class previously and still have the textbook, and they're willing to let you borrow it. It's the Whitlock and Schulter Analysis of Biological Data. 3rd edition, 2nd edition, it doesn't matter, but you don't need to buy these. There might even be a version of it free out there somewhere. But it has some good background and some good practice questions if you need a little extra, and it's actually not a very expensive book either. There's also an OpenStax Introductory Statistics. This is a really basic book. I want to show you that it exists, but it's going to be of limited utility to you. And of course, I'm looking up at the screen. You can't see my face. And then the rest of this course description, we're going to be looking at data and seeing what we can learn from it. And we'll talk about this more on Thursday when we actually start talking about the content. But here's a little more complex is this course expectation. So I already said that you don't need to be here with your camera on, with your mic on. You come, log into Google, join the stream, add things to the chat if you want to, but there are there's no expectation for you to have to be active in the way that you would be in a Zoom class. Like, I'm not going to sit back and be like, oh, such and such. Aaron, why don't you tell us about t-tests? Or Natalia, why don't you tell us how to calculate a mean? And then you have to say that over a mic, over a screen. Instead, I'm going to put my face back up. Instead, what you're going to do is, choose to interact over chat if you would like. I will ask for we'll get prompts. I'll ask for answers to questions, but it's up to you whether you want to interact. But I will have things available or required for you to do on Brightspace. I'll show you that. But during the sessions that we're going to be live like this, there may be here's a link to a survey or an assignment that you need to complete before the end of the day, or complete before the next class period or something like that. And that's sort of how I'm going to take attendance, and also have you interact with the content in some way. I also understand that sitting and watching a professor online is boring. I know that it feels, just sitting in a lecture is awful. But sitting at your desk watching a professor just prattle on online is not great. So what I've decided, and this week is a bit of an exception, uh, we will only meet, or you only be required to show up to Thursday lectures. So Thursday stream sessions. Uh, and those are the days where I'll be talking about the content. That's the days we'll be doing practice problems. Those are the days that I think are going to be really important for you to interact with the content. And those are on Thursdays. Tuesdays, unlike today, every other Tuesday, you are left to your own devices. There will not be a required session. I may stream if there's something that I think would benefit everybody and you can come to watch it or not. I will have a video so you can watch it later. But the Tuesday, we'll call it the asynchronous day. Tuesdays is the day for you to do things like read the textbook, work through practice problems, work through portfolios, which I'll tell you what that is a little bit later, to catch up on work that maybe a little bit behind. It's a day for you to send me emails about content and if you need anything you need help with, figuring out office hours. It's a day that I'm going to give you an hour and a half. You should still dedicate that hour and a half for the 521 as your biostats time, but you get to choose what to do with it. And so you just, you do with that as you will. But I will say that on Thursdays during the live day, it will not be a lecture. I will go through some content, but it won't be just here's the stuff you need to learn, and then that's it. I will come Thursdays assuming that you've at least read through the textbook, and the textbook is quite short. You've read through the textbook, you've done maybe one or two practice problems, and you're ready to try actually, running statistics or whatever it is that we're doing that week. So Tuesday is your time to prepare. Thursday is your time to work. Before I continue, are there any questions on that? You can put those right in the chat. I'm going to turn down my AC. I'll be right back. I walk away. Oh, there we go. Walk away for 1 second and everything falls apart. All right, I don't see anything in the chat, so let's continue down. And oh, forgot to add, sometime during the first 3 minutes of stream, which I guess we're getting really close to, so I'll do that. Um, I will be taking attendance. I won't be taking attendance using the chat. I will instead be using a quiz or some sort of assignment on Brightspace. As I already said, my office hours will be offered regularly by appointment. Just make sure to send me an email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I'll give you the sort of email policy in a second. All right. So before I go on to grading, let's take attendance. So what I'd like you to do is go to quizzes, and there won't be anything there. I'm going to make it visible. And you're going to take your first day attendance. It's a really easy quiz. It's going to be one question. Are you in class today? There's only one answer. Yes. Well, or one. And so the next couple of minutes, just go on to Brightspace and indicate that you are, in fact, in class today. And if I keep reloading, I can see, yep. Oh. I can see that folks are doing it. Excellent. Okay. All right, there's 12 watching. There's 12 published. Excellent. Okay, I'm gonna go back to content. Well, I guess I'll go back to well, you either go to course home or content. I'm gonna go back to the syllabus. Okay. The next important part, of course, is the grading scheme and the different assignments you're going to have and the different things that are going to make up your course grade. This course is out of 1,000 points, so those of you who have taken courses with me before, which is most, if not all of you, I use 1,000-point system because I'm a lunatic. But if you like a 100-point system, you just drop the first 0. So the first bit is going to be the majority of the points that you're going to earn in this class are the statistics portfolio. And so I'm just going to read this verbatim. In conjunction with the textbook readings, lectures, and live streams, students will be required to compile an electronic portfolio of their statistical work. This includes the data, methodology with justification, statistical and graphical outputs, computer code, and reflection for the statistical tests that they learn in class. The point of portfolio, and this is why I'm doing it all, the reason why I even make these, is for you all to create a reference manual that you can use in the future. You're going to learn, if you don't already know how to use it, you're going to learn how to use Python, which is a high-level mathematical language or a programming language that can do stats, but it can also build websites. It can do server-level stuff. It can do high-level computing. You can make whole programs in Python, and it's a really good uh, language to learn, because not only is it really versatile, but a lot of people know how to use it, and a lot of companies use it, and it's probably up there in the most lucrative jobs. So if you, at the end of all this, decide you want to go for a job in data analytics or data science or IT or software engineering or something like that, either in the biosciences or elsewhere, this is going to be a really marketable and an early marketable skill, and may provide you with a pretty decent starting salary. So having this reference is really important. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with a prompt for each portfolio on GitHub, and they're actually already up there if you want to see it. But portions of the portfolios will be submitted as a IPyNB Jupyter Notebook file, which doesn't matter right now, but I'll show you those a little later. Probably not today. On Brightspace by 11:59 p.m. on the date they're due. There's a calendar, of course. And you can all work collaboratively on these portfolios. If one of you is really getting in, you want to help your friends out, that's more than okay. Collaboration is quite a good skill to develop, but all the work must be in your own words. I can't have two or multiple portfolios that are identical. The worst thing is for me to see 2 or 3 portfolios that not only have the same wording, but also has the same errors and the same incorrect information. So, and I will consider those sort of things as plagiarism. So please work collaboratively. I know a lot of you take other courses together. Many of you are probably friends with each other. So that's perfectly fine. But make sure your submission is yours. And this also includes the use of generative AI. And I'm going to talk a little bit about ChatGPT today, and my expectations when it comes to generative AI. Portfolios be great on completeness, accuracy, and lack of errors. All errors in the code, we call those bugs, must be fixed before the final submission to receive full credit. I put a note here: debugging is a great use of office hours. If you work through a portfolio and you're having trouble, come to me. I'll help you out. There will also be a number of pop quizzes, a total of 200 points, or 20% of your grade. And those will be assigned during the live stream. You don't have to do them during the live stream, but I'll assign them. And then any sort of special notes, I will let you know during the stream, so you'll be the first to know. And they can be assigned during any live stream. They won't be assigned through every live stream, but they will be assigned pretty regularly. And they're usually they're not going to be, as I said, they're not going to be due the day we're streaming. I've got better things to do, like show you the content, but there'll be things you'll have to work on over a certain period of time. And I will let you know not only the assignment, but also the due date when I assign the pop quiz. And then the last is an independent statistical project. And towards the end of the semester, I'm going to give you a choice of data to analyze independently. You actually get to be data scientists, to be statisticians. You'll prepare a short 2 to 3 page report of your findings, including statistical analyses, graphical outputs, and interpretation. And this will be submitted as these notebook files. Everything is going to be submitted using these notebook files. You're going to know how to use them. You're going to use them a lot. You're going to get bored of them, but they're really cool, and that's all you need to know. So that's everything. 3, 4, 5. No, there's one more thing. Um, I'm gonna go through this in a second, but let's get the last 100 points, and that's participation. Attendance is key because we're gonna go through a lot of content very quickly, and there's going to be a lot of different tips and tricks that I'm going to be able to show you during the live streams. So come along, and then also you can interact with me directly with chat through chat. And if you're not here and you're just watching the video, you can't ask questions. You can ask questions during office hours, but it's better if you ask them live. You need to make sure that the work that you turn in is your own work, and you need to make sure that if there's assignments, you complete them on time and completely. The participation score will be determined according to attendance. So I'll take attendance just like I did before with the quizzes, and any completion of in-class assignments, which will be relatively minor and something you can actually get done within the time frame of the class, 4 to 521. And altogether, that's 1,000 points. And here's the grade equivalents, and I've even given you the percentages, though that's within the first couple weeks of class, you'll be able to do that conversion yourself. All right, here's an important point. Right now, it's impossible for me to stop you from using ChatGPT. Also, I don't want to stop you from using ChatGPT or other generative AI. If you notice this stream starting, and that is made using DALL-E. So that's generative AI. The textbook that I've written was written alongside using prompts from ChatGPT so that I could write faster. It's all content that I'd written previously. It's content that I know, and I was able to use ChatGPT to sort of make that process a little bit faster. ChatGPT is also really good at coding, and it's really good at debugging code, even though it can't run code on its own. At least it can do it a little bit in a limited fashion. But for the most part, it just guesses. And usually the guesses are right, but sometimes the guesses are wrong. And sometimes the strategy that ChatGPT uses to answer a problem is overkill, or is not quite the way that I would do it, or isn't quite the way that you should do it. So when it comes to ChatGPT and other generative AI, it's a great it's a great resource for checking your code, but it's not meant for you to just put the prompts in and get a result. That might work, but you cannot use ChatGPT to produce your code. You can have it produce code. You can look through things, ask it what's going on, use it as a resource. But copy and pasting code from ChatGPT into your portfolios, into your assignments, into your quizzes is not allowed. And I'm going to watch out for it. And if I notice it, I'm going to call you out on it. And if I notice it after I call you out on it, it's going to be considered plagiarism. And there is a way to avoid this, a really, really easy way to avoid this. Plagiarize me. What I mean by that is use the same code and statistical techniques and format that I provide you in the textbook. I want you to use that technique. When you're your own coder, you're doing your own work, you can do whatever you want. But for this class, follow what I'm doing in the textbook. You can copy, paste, you can edit, you can do whatever you want. But as long as your format is consistent to what's in the textbook and stuff that I show you on the live streams, we're good to go. When in doubt, just come ask. And I will be very diligent about this, and will let you know if I think you're kind of using, I feel like you're using a little bit too much ChatGPT. So that's the grades. That's my major policy, or my major portions of the course, uh, and what I want you to keep in mind as you're doing assignments and you're attending class. I'm going to go through a bunch of these policies. You don't have to worry about it. Just come through and read these on your own. If you're going to miss a class, and you're not, I don't get you in attendance on Thursday, you just need to let me know that you're not going to be there, or if whatever reason we're there, to make sure that you have access to the content that you need. Like if I assign a quiz and you're not there, you got to let me know, because I can reach out to you and give you the information. The quiz will be on Brightspace. You can find it on your own, but it might be due, in only a couple days. So you may want to, let me know so I can get you that information as quickly as possible. Brightspace, we'll be using that for assignments and quizzes. Content will be mostly held in GitHub, which I'll show you in a second, and of course, videos will be on YouTube. Important, I want to tell this, I tell this to all my students every semester, Brightspace grading sucks. It's not good. So I will be keeping grades on Brightspace, but those are not your final grades. It's not weighted the way that I want it to be. So I keep a spreadsheet, and it's backed up in multiple locations, with your actual grade and with a running tally of your points. So at any time during the semester, you want to know how you're doing, send me an email and I will let you know. Or come to my office and ask, I'll let you know. Do not use Brightspace as your gradebook. It won't be correct. And I won't do anything to make sure it looks correct. Just come to me. The next is email policy. Email me anytime you want. However, you got to give me at least 24 hours to get back to you. I'm making it a habit not to send emails past 6 p.m. Taking on the chairship of the department and all of that has sort of elevated my level of work. And unless I might see your email, and if I think it's something that needs to be dealt with immediately, I will deal with it. But otherwise, expect an email, 8 a.m. The following day. Of course, if you email me during the day, I should be able to, and I'm not in class like I am right now, I will get back to your email pretty much immediately, or at least within a few hours. If you email me during the weekends and it's not an emergency, you're not going to hear back from me until Monday. As I said, I'll check emails, but I will only respond within those times if it's something that really needs to be dealt with. All right. And then you can just read through all these other policies. And okay. And the last thing I want to point out is the calendar. And the calendar has sort of the weeks of content we're going to be working on. And then we also have assignments that are due the following week. And these are not obviously doesn't include the pop quizzes or any in-class assignments, but these are the big assignments. Uh, so the first 2 weeks, mostly reading and mostly discussion of data and statistics and philosophy and a few different things. No math whatsoever. We're not going to do any sort of programming. And then maybe a little bit. I get bored. And then we're going to spend an entire week just playing around in Python. We're not going to be doing stats. We're not going to be doing any major math. We're just going to be playing around with the program, with the technology, and so that you get a little bit more comfortable with it. And then the more intense content starts. We first talk about how to describe data visually, so how to make graphs, how to interpret them, what makes a good graph, what makes a crappy graph. We're going to be then going to summary statistics, so mean, median, mode, and what the hell those things mean, and why they're useful, and they're extremely useful, and what they tell us about the world. We're then going to go into uncertainty, because of course there's a ton of uncertainty when it comes to anything, particularly in science. And then your first portfolio is going to be due. There will be, oh, I skipped over this. There will be an intro Python assignment that we're basically going to do together. There's no reason not to get 100 on this. So the first portfolio won't be due until mid-October. I want to make sure you're well ready to go before you tackle this. And we'll talk about portfolios maybe a little bit today, but more towards when we get closer to that due date. Then we have probability. We have hypothesis testing and experimental design. We have another portfolio in November. And then we start actually doing statistics. It actually takes quite a while, and this is a statistics class to actually do statistics. But once we start, it builds very, very, very fast until finally we have our final project assigned in mid-November, and then we have our final weeks of sort of predictive statistics. So everything is laid out, all the dates are laid out, so it shouldn't be a surprise when we're certain content. So on those Tuesdays, make sure to read the chapter that is associated with that week's content. It's only one chapter, and they're not that long. So and they're interactive. So you should be able to work with those, no problem. Okay, so that's the syllabus. I'm going to quickly just point out the quick start guide. We're not going to need to really have access to your Jupyter Hub instance immediately. You should definitely work through this in the next week. So maybe everybody's authenticated by next Thursday. That would be awesome. And you just follow step by step. I've got some GIFs here that show you how to step by step how to get your GitHub account, how to log into the course website, the Python website, and and then what you have to do. And basically, you go to log in. Here's just that Jupyter Hub here. You click in Sign Up and GitHub, and it's going to ask you to sign in. And if you don't have an account, you just create an account. The upside to this is that it is very secure. I don't know your password. It's only stored on GitHub, and please don't use your same password that you use for logging in an MC or anything like that. Make it a unique password. The downside is that I don't know when you're trying to log in, and I also don't know your username you're trying to use to log in. So once you go through the process of logging in, you're going to get and making a GitHub account and authenticating and all this sort of stuff. You're going to be just like here. You're going to be met by a 403 forbidden, which is perfectly fine because you are, in fact, 403 forbidden. And so all you need to do is email me your username, which is case sensitive, and send it to me via email, and I will authenticate it, and you should be good to go. And then I'll send you an email confirming that I've done it. I missed a step with a couple of students, so they were not authorized initially, but now they are. So I know what I'm doing, and it's good to go. And then once you can actually log in with GitHub, then you'll have access to your own personal Python workstation. And it works on any computer with or any device with a browser and a keyboard or input device of some sort. So go through on your own time. Next Tuesday might be a good day to work through some of this, and just make sure you have access to this thing. And then the last thing I want you to see is the textbook. And the textbook is a bit interesting. At least I think it's interesting. I worked really hard on it. There is a link to the textbook, which is all one big file. There's also a link for individual files to each chapter and the appendices. There is a website to view the textbook, because why not? And there is a sort of interactivity built into the textbook that we'll talk about in a second. But just simply this week and next week, you just need to read the textbook. You don't really need to interact with it, but you can if you want. So to find the textbook, we go to the link here. This will bring us to GitHub. This will bring us to my GitHub page, Lundquist Ecology Lab, and then our repository, which is Biostatistics with Python, and that has all the stuff from the class. So we have the chapters. So chapter 1, the role of statistics in biological sciences. Each chapter associated with a week. So chapter 1, week 1. And the images. All right, so maybe we shouldn't use this one. These images are not there. So I'm going to go back and let's try this one, the website to view the textbook. I did move the pictures around. There we go. Okay, so this one might be the one to go to for those of you who don't have access to Python, the Python instance yet. Okay, so in the textbook, we have the chapter, we have the learning goals, things that I want you to learn by the chapter. I have the chapter content, and I also have videos that I recorded during the first year I taught this class, way back when I was using R instead of Python, but these, and I'm using the other textbook instead of my own. But these videos are nice short snippets of information related to things in the textbook. So not only do you get to read about this stuff, but you can also just watch these videos. And the nice thing about these videos is that they're incredibly short. This one's 53 seconds. Zoom in. This one's 53 seconds. Some of them are a couple minutes, but I don't think any of them are over 5 or 6 minutes. So you don't have to spend a lot of time watching them. And make sure that all the content you need in this most compact package possible. So you can go through and read through the content here, and At the end, there's some end of chapter questions that you can work on. That you could just let you write in a notebook or whatever you want to do. And you can do that for the entire textbook. There's more videos here, population samples, more questions, and all of that. What's really cool about the textbook is that this is what's called a Jupyter notebook, Jupyter with a Y. And Jupyter notebooks, which is, I think, Julia, Python, and R. So it actually, you could use other programs here. Provides not only a platform to write text, but also to write code that is interactive, meaning you can run the code. I can't do it here because it's just a website, it's a static website, but when you're in your Jupyter Hub instance, where we're going to be actually playing around with Python, you could run this code and get this plot. Or you can modify the code to get a different plot. And you can play around with the content, with the different statistical methods that we're using and different techniques as much as you want. And it's very hard to break. You can break it, but it's really hard to break. So you can play around with that, and we're going to be working through these pretty much exclusively throughout the rest of the semester. So here's a scatter plot, box whiskers, a bunch of stuff. So that's the textbook. At a minimum, read the first couple chapters. First chapter this week, second chapter next week. But try to get through, particularly this first chapter, before we meet on Thursday. It's not very long. And I'll also I'll show you in a second how to actually start interacting with this once you have access to the python.griffystats website. So if I go back to this quick start guide, I'm just going to go to github.com and I'm going to sign in. And there are links to our repository on Brightspace. And what this is all the stuff that we're going to be working with. Either all of it's here. There's a few things that are missing, but most of the big assignments, the textbook chapters, they're all right here. And you don't need to worry about ever going to this website, but it's kind of nice to have it all in one place. And it's relatively easy to download things off of this. So, for example, the intro Python assignment, which is going to be due, let's see, it's going to be due on the 28th, so the end of the month. It's right here, intro Python assignment. And here, actually, GitHub also renders the code blocks and renders everything here. It's pretty great. There's some errors you gotta fix. But let's say you want to download this. There's a few different ways to do it, but the most direct way is to click this button. It's actually, oh, sorry. GitHub is better than the last time I used it. So what you do is there's a button here. It says download raw file. Click download. And you can put that wherever you want. With downloads. And you can save that file to your computer. It used to be that you had to click raw and right click and save. So that's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful. Okay. You can also just look through and see what some of the content is. For example, the portfolios are right here. I had a lot of fun writing those. They're different format that I've used in the past, but uh, I'll leave it as a surprise unless you really want to go read through them. All the textbook files are here. So here are chapters 1, 2, 3. All the chapters are right here. And I think that's it. The rest of this are like images and things you don't need to worry about. And there's also another version of the syllabus if you want to see a table that looks nicer than what's on Brightspace. But it's all the same. So explore that as well, and just get to know what some of the content is. And I'll be adding things periodically. Okay. So, okay. All right, so I see a question from Jackie. This live stream link is just for this one. So I will be providing a link. I will try to do an hour before class, but probably more like a half hour. So between an hour and a half hour before class, I'll send the link. This link is just it's an unlisted stream, so it's just going to be a new stream each time. Okay, so I see another question about inserting the textbook, so I'm going to do that right now. All right, so I need to log into. Okay. All right, so here I'm going to make this a bit bigger. Zoom in. Okay, so those of you who have already logged in to Griffey Python, and I have python.griffystats.com, and have been authorized, you should be greeted with something that looks like this. Those of you who haven't done it yet, you'll be able to do that really soon. I'm actually going to go ahead and delete this. You can ignore, actually, I'm going to, oh. Hold on a second. Ignore that. Unless there's folks who are interested in working in a terminal, we'll ignore that for now. Okay, I'm just gonna get rid of these two things as well. That was just stuff for me. Oh, also, you're probably going to be instead greeted by this. This is the default theme for the editor. If you want to change it to a dark theme, or actually, like this one's called Darkula, based on Dracula, which don't ask, but you can sort of play around with the themes. But to get the textbook, check my okay. To get the textbook, we can go back to the textbook guide here on Brightspace, and you copy this entire command here, and it should work. I haven't tested this today, but so if you copy the whole thing, what you want to do is you then want to go down, and this is recorded, of course, you can go back and watch this. You click on terminal, and so this entire we call it, it's a sort of an integrated development environment called Jupyter Lab, is based in a tiny virtual computer that's sitting in a larger computer on my desk in my apartment. And so each of you have like a little tiny sliver of this this small computer that's in a sliver of this larger computer, and it's all based in Linux. And so we can talk to the computer directly using Linux commands. And so you're actually going to learn a couple Linux commands during this class as well. And so what this is our interface, our terminal that we can talk directly to the computer. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste. And so this is the command is svn export, and then this long URL that is for our textbook. And I'm just going to press enter, and I hope this works. SVN not found. All right, hold please. Let's go to textbook. I bet there's a command I'm missing. How to download. Oh, I know what's happening. Yes. Okay. All right. Hold on, folks, because it seems like when I rebuilt it, SVN disappeared. Okay. So this is what's happened. For some reason, that command svn, which is subversion or subversion, is no longer supported as of today. So I need to change the command. So let's do svn. So give me a moment. Yes. All right. Thank you, Lily, for bringing that up. Let's see. All right, let's see if this works. That's not found. Excellent. Okay. And we're going to I'm going to try one more thing, and I'm going to show you the low-tech way of doing it. All right. So it looks like it needs me. Okay, so that's a problem for me for later. All right, the way to get the textbook in the easiest way, I know most of you can't do this yet, but you might want to do this. This you can do. But you go to textbook and let's see. All right, so I can't do the whole thing, but I can do, you can do individual files. So let's say for this week, you just need the introduction chapter. So you can download that. Let's save it into downloads. You notice it pops up down here. For some of you, it might pop up here. But what you can do is drag and drop right into this pane here, which is basically your file explorer. You could also open up Finder. You could open up Finder and just drag things in that way as well. So that's a quick way to do it. I will make sure this is fixed tonight before I leave. And again, this will be recorded, and this is being recorded, so I'll make sure it's up on um, on YouTube and is linked on Brightspace as well. Okay, and we're almost done here. But if we open up the introduction, then here's that chapter textbook chapter. I'm ready to go home. Here we're missing the images, and the reason being is that we haven't actually installed the images, but for right now that's okay. But if we go down, you can see the end of chapter questions, and if we click on them, they turn into code. And this is a code called Markdown, and we'll go through all of this later on. But these code blocks allow for Markdown, which is a way of just writing notes, basically. And you can even add blocks that are either Markdown. So this is Markdown, and I can run the command, run this cell, which is just this play button. And now it looks like text. I can also begin to code, and so now I can print this message. This is Python code, and it's all within the textbook itself. And so, for example, if I want to answer the question, biologists encounter significant natural variation in their studies, yada, 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 I can make a new block in Markdown, and so to this question is this. And I can include that along with the question. So you can do all of your note-taking, you can do your answers to your questions, you can work on your code directly in the textbook. And that's the reason why I have a textbook the way that it is. Okay. So I think that is pretty much everything that I wanted to cover today. I want you all to look through the Brightspace page, look through the GitHub page, sign up for GitHub for the Jupyter notebook here. Go through that quick start process so then I can onboard you, and you should be good to go to work through this material starting on Thursday. And so we'll meet here again on Thursday, and then from here on out, meet on Thursdays. Tuesdays is open for you to work on your own. I'll spend the rest of the time if there are any other questions. Otherwise, we're set. All right, the Python link. Ran the quick start guide. It is step 3. So here, python.griffystats.com. Yeah. Okay, and Aaron, I got your email, and I will send you your confirmation that you're in right after class. All right. See you all on Thursday.